Joining me now, after that painful riff, is my great friend, Brian Kilmeade, author of a great book, by the way, The President and the Freedom Fire, Frederick Douglass and Abe Lincoln. Is that right?
Great to see you, Mr. Kudlow.
Thank you, but I really appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
This is a very strange moment. Here's something here, Brian. Manchin's being pretty calm, sticking to his guns. Now, I'm going to play a clip from the press conference today. Mr. Biden is talking COVID and big government socialism, but he just seems to wig out on us. Take a listen.
I'm not joking about this. Imagine being a parent, looking at a child, and you can't afford. You have no house to borrow against. You have no savings. It's wrong. But all the things in that bill are going to reduce prices. Well, bring down all those costs across the board, from child care to a child care tax credit. But I'm not supposed to be having this press conference.
So what do you make of that?
What's he talking about?
Right.
I mean, number one, he wants to re-socialize and reconfigure the social contract with America, and he wants to do it in a way in which we write bigger checks to more people without any means testing, and at which he only committed to doing the math for 1 year instead of 10 years. Manchin did it for 10 years and said, I will not go for this. There is already welfare and things built into the system for those families. Why is he pretending that these families are suddenly in the middle of the Depression? It's not 1929. I mean, we're not in the middle of a depression. Whatever challenges they had before the pandemic, they have now, arguably, maybe even less with the amount of money that we've given out. And for him to say, for them not to pass this revolutionary socialist spending, and I don't really think that they would fight me on that sentence, either side would, for him to push back on this, said it makes absolutely no sense, and 70% of the people, as you just saw, support Joe Manchin. How dare he get angry at a press conference because he can't get a piece of legislation
Right.
there?
That's the thing. I mean, he got really angry. Why, I don't know. I think he just lost it. By the by, it annoys me and annoys Manchin. Manchin has said this publicly. All of the White House lies, right? The White House says the bill will be paid for. The CBO scorecard says, no, it won't, not even close. $5 trillion, $3 trillion more in debt. This, you just heard him again. His bill will lower inflation. No, it won't. Spending $5 trillion more will raise. Everybody knows that. Even on your point, the child credit, a lot of scholars are now saying that child credit is going to increase costs for middle-class families. And by the way, there's no workfare. I mean, at some point, I think Biden has really been hurt by the polls, but by the people, by the voters, especially the deplorables we're talking about, because he keeps lying. It doesn't work. People aren't dumb.
And I think it goes back to Afghanistan. We got out. It was a great success, right? Okay, we know it's not a success. And we know yesterday on JFK, if you were over there on the weekend, you saw 49 people come out of Afghanistan. And we've seen hundreds go out. They told us only 100 were left. We actually were watching. We left that country, broke their economy, and we're letting them starve to death. Is that okay? Well, he doesn't want to talk about it. How is that similar to something else, the border, which he broke? He literally broke it. And yesterday, Mayorkas said, okay, we'll let you finish parts of the wall that Donald Trump started, along with the technology that goes with it. So don't tell me about your patriotic duty when it comes to vaccinations. Don't tell me about your patriotic duty when it says give families of four $400 a kid. Okay, no offense, but I am not consulting on their family planning, and I don't want to finance it either. You don't want me involved in raising your kids. I don't want to write checks to kids that I don't know exist. I also don't want to incentivize the expansion of the family so you can pay your bills. So I just have a fundamental problem with now it's our obligation to pay people per kid. How does that work?
I'm going to guess you don't want government to replace the family in our society.
I would think that goes without saying. I mean, right now we're seeing a massive rebellion when people are saying get a vaccine. Okay, can I make that decision? I don't get my medical advice from a politician. Now I have to write checks, and if not, I'm selfish. $400 per kid to people all across the country, some of which can afford these kids. Some are upper middle class. They're getting a tax credit now. So Manchin simply said, can we do some means testing on this? I want to help the needy. I don't want to help everyone. How does that make sense?
Yeah, that's it. And Manchin's been very clear on this. Attacking Manchin is not the way to go. So I want to come back to this issue of Bette Midler attacking, West Virginia, poor, illiterate, and strung out. This is an extension of Hillary's deplorables, and that was always an extension of Obama's, guns and religion. They're taking pot shots at ordinary working folks. That's who these people are. And the Democratic Party has lost them. But deplorables, turns out, have a higher literacy rate in West Virginia than they do in New York. And I don't see New York doing all that great right now. West Virginia has lower taxes, a better business environment. Just saying, why do Democrats have to look down their nose at ordinary working people? Dems used to be the party of working people.
And I know you figured this out when you were at CNBC for a while. If you were in New York, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C., you didn't really know much about Fox News. But if you were in these other cities, Fox News was taking root. We look past those cities don't look past themselves. Mm-hmm. And this is, what you're just pointing out is absolutely true. They think we live for the Grammys and the Oscars and Page Six. We live for average, everyday things. We really don't care about the celebrities. It's a nice thing to bring up in small talk. They think our world revolves around Bette Midler, who was last relevant in 1981.
That's what
we don't care about her tweets, but she's so self-obsessed, she thinks we do. And I was able to go to 19 cities over the last 4 weeks. And I saw so many, shook all these hands, talked to all these people. Not one celebrity comes up, not even Alec Baldwin shooting somebody on a set. It doesn't come up. They're worried about average, everyday things average, everyday people doing extraordinary things. And I'll give you an anecdote for West Virginia. So one of my first stops was West Virginia, driving from Kentucky. And as I'm driving to a hit on Fox, the guy who's driving me drives off the road, goes to make a U-turn, blows out both his tires. I got 20 minutes to get to a live shoot. I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's literally no street signs. 2 people in West Virginia pull over, don't even know who I am, ask what the problem is. When they saw 2 flats, they said, "You're going to need help. Why don't you hop in?" The driver says, "Why don't you drive him?" So I hopped in with a perfect stranger, drove 4 miles to my studio, and then afterwards people go, "Why is that unusual?" That's West Virginia. If West Virginia can be characterized by anything, it's the kindness and caring.
Good folks. Good folks.
People. I'm sorry they're not Bette Midler types.
Yeah. When was the last time Bette Midler worked? I couldn't even remember.
I don't know, but I know the wind's beneath her wings. That's all I can tell you for sure.
I've always wanted to be a deplorable. I know I don't look, but my heart is in the deplorable camp. Do you understand that?
Right.
I can't shed certain cultural background, but I'm thinking deplorable, and my heart is with them because they're good folks. And also, I worked for Trump, who spoke to their needs. They liked him. They may not have liked every darn thing he tweeted, but they liked what he did, and they love America. These people, the celebrities, the coastal elites, they don't care about America. They don't care about anything except their own little whatever.
And I think we saw this when you can say, "I am going to watch out for you," and shut down your business, shut down your school, make sure you can't fly, let you not go from state to state, find out you got to get a test to do this. They destroyed lives on our behalf as if they were our parents. These what these politicians did, and we have this mayor in this last week still doing that today. And people resent the heck out of it. We do not need politicians to raise us. We have or had parents. We know as much about this virus and variant as they do. We don't need any more coaching. We got it from here. Stop limiting our lives.
I know we were all busy, may not have seen his whole press conference, but what did Biden's message today was more test kits, but there's still this confusion about whether the booster works, whether the vax works,
Absolutely.
whether actually natural immunity works. I mean, I don't think, to me, that's getting more and more complicated. I don't hear any clarity to it.
There is no clarity to it, and the one thing that he is missing is the anger that he has towards the unvaccinated. Instead of respect he has for all American people, I think when he said, "If you're vaccinated, I know how angry you are at the unvaccinated." Not really. Thank you for that, but I got it from here. People have a reason not to be unvaccinated. People have a reason to make choices in their lives on what they eat and what they do. And for the most part, I have not seen the science that says that vaccinated people are put in danger by unvaccinated people. You're making your own decision. This virus has a mind of its own. Remember, DeSantis let the virus come in. Now he's got the lowest cases. He handled the virus. The cases went low because the virus moved on. Now it's, I don't know, here. So it's not the governor's fault it's here, but how we react is.
That's the key.
That's why it's so crazy that we're overreacting like this to a virus that spreads easy, but has not been proven to be dangerous more than a runny nose and a low-grade fever unless you have underlying conditions.
Hospitalization low, fatalities low.
And what
You're right.
what they told me, Larry, is that most hospitals that are successful, believe it or not, have 95% occupation all the time. They have very little play. So when you say hospitals are overrun by 5%,
they're not.
And they're built to get bigger and they're built to expand.
I hate to say it, but it's another Biden lie. We're kind of out of time. I just want to know from you, you're an experienced guy, man of the world, traveling all over the country for selling this book. I'm very impressed with the West Virginia story. Brian Kilmeade, can I make it as a deplorable? Can I?
If you
the clock is ticking, but I'm really working on it.
I have news for you. You're there. You're authentic. You care about people, and you're not arrogant. The so-called deplorables, they know Fox people because we talk to them, not down to them, or not at them. We're one of them. We just happen to be very lucky to have these jobs.
Well, that is true, and you know how grateful I am to have this job. This has given me a whole new lease on life.
Well, you demanded to work with me, and I appreciated that. So if anything happens, we're a couple. If I go awry, you have to leave too. All right? So I appreciate it. And not many people know this, so I'm breaking news. If you can, give me my ISO card.
But I'm working on this.
I have to work with him.
I'm working on this. I want to be a deplorable, and I'm glad I'm making some progress. By the way, folks, Brian's new book, The President and the Freedom Fighter, it's out now. Brian also has a couple more upcoming tour dates. Friday, February 18th in Seattle, Georgia. Saturday, May 21st in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Oh, you guys are really great. I'm going to be on 7 o'clock tonight. Just promote that.
Right. He's going to be on 7 o'clock tonight. He's running that special show. Right. Those are not deplorable states. I think your West Virginia story is fabulous.
Yeah.
If anything tells you how good those folks are, salt of the earth, working folk, that tells.
I'm going to post a picture of the guy that drove me. I'm going to repost it right after I leave here.
Did he know?
Has no idea who I am.
You were?
No idea who I was.
Wow.
And they go, Brian, that's called West Virginia.